Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on KUTV Primetime News. You can share your thoughts with us on our social media platforms. Tell us what you think about the bulletin on Facebook, KUTV Kenya, and on Twitter, KUTV_Kenya, and on my social handle as well, KOmondi_Otieno. Now, have we ever heard the phrase keeping up with the Joneses before? Well, your guess is as good as mine. You probably thought of the 2016 movie with the same title, the old idiom that refers to comparing yourself to those around you in order to determine your social status. Today, we had a discussion with an entrepreneur, Hanna, on the same. Take a listen. The strong urge to maintain a social status is a losing battle. In fact, that's one of the battles this generation is fighting, striving to lead a life in a lane you don't belong. Today, we are joined by Hanna to discuss on the interesting topic, keeping up with the Joneses. So, Nun, thank you so much for dedicating your time for this discussion.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Right, now you may introduce yourself to our viewers, they get to know who Hanna is.
Okay. Hi, my name is Hanna. I'm a mom of one. I'm the founder for something called Mykenyanguide. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Nice. Now, right into the discussion. So, what does it mean when we're talking about keeping up with the Joneses?
Keeping up with the Joneses is more of an act or purchase, not because you need something, but because you've seen people doing it. You know, it's more of a feeling of you don't want to be left behind.
Sure.
For example, maybe your neighbor bought a new car. So what do? You also start feeling, not because you need a new car, your car is just perfectly fine. Right. But now you start feeling like, I also need a KDE. And your KEZ is working just fine.
Sure.
For example, I've seen this new shoe called Nike. You've seen everybody's wearing that shoe. For example, your shoes are okay and you don't even have enough money. And then now your friend, let's say for example, your friend is called John. John has a white one, a blue one, and a red one. So who is Ken? You want to keep up with the Joneses. So what you do is, you'll buy the white one, the blue one, a purple one, and you also have to add an extra one on top, so that you can also see that you're doing what? You're also wearing Nikes.
Sure.
Maybe everybody's hanging out around Westlands. You don't even have enough money for rent. You would rather go there and drink tap water and take a photo, so that what? Everybody can see that where all these Instagram influencers are going, I'm also going. You understand? It's more of it's an act of showing that you're also, how do you put this? That you're not being left behind. You understand?
Right.
Yes.
All right, so maybe we could also talk about who are the prime victims when it comes to, keeping up with the Joneses.
Interesting enough, it actually has no age limits.
All right.
It has no age limits. You can find a teenager is the same. You can find a 21-year-old, a 44-year-old. It has no age limits. You've heard of these people who, we all come from different backgrounds. Maybe you work with your colleague and you're paid the same amount of money. Your responsibilities are not the same with the one your colleague has.
Right.
Maybe he's a rich kid. You are not. Maybe you guys are paid 40K. But where do these people live? You find they live in a house where maybe even the parents own that house. But what do? You also want to live in that standard. You're paid 40,000. Your rent is 35,000. Does that make sense? You need to eat. You need to wear. You need transport. So how do you plan this is going to work out for you? So that is the problem with keeping up with the Joneses. It's more of you want people to see that you're not being left behind. You understand?
Right.
Yes.
So, no, interesting enough. So, what some of the factors that maybe drive people to want to keep up with some life in some social status that they probably don't belong there?
Trying to fit in. For example, like I give you the example of maybe you and your colleague. You'll find someone, some people are very wealthy in this country. Some are middle class, some are poor. Maybe you are not born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And then you hear people are saying, in December, we're going to Dubai. So you also want to go to Dubai. So what do? You go to the Shylock, you give your bed, your TV, your every single thing. Why? Because you also want to go to Dubai. It's the feeling of fitting in. Ni kutojipenda, kutojikubali. You need to accept the situation the way it is. You find maybe, for example, you're given 300 for your parents give you 300 because that's the only money they had. Whoever you're trying to compete with and keep up with, maybe is given 2,000 shillings a single day. And they don't have responsibilities. And this 300 shillings you are given, maybe your mom will still call you the following day. Is how? Do you have 250 you send me? You send back the 250. And then they're going to cut you how much for sending me the M-Pesa? 11 shillings. So how is this going to work out? When you try to compete with a person like that, how do you think that is going to work out? That is the problem with not fitting. You just have to, I think that we need to as the youth and people in general, you need to accept your situation, jikubali, the way things are. If you cannot afford a certain shoe, you don't need to go into debt to get it. If you cannot afford a certain place, you don't need to go there. And you don't need to go everywhere because everybody's going there. You don't need to wear everything because everyone is wearing it. You understand? Yeah, so it has no age limit.
All right. Now, Noon, we could also maybe try to borrow from what these life coaches they teach people. You find in a forum, the life coaches will tell you that you need to fake it until you make it. Yeah, you need to, if at all, okay, let's say you want to live a life standard where people are driving big cars, so you just try to fake the life until one day you get there. So what's your opinion on this? But
you see, there's a very huge difference between faking it until you make it and keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
Keeping up with the Joneses is more of a competition. For example, I came to your house and I loved your house, and maybe you pay your rent 65,000 and my salary every month is 70,000. So when you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, you're going to live in that house which you cannot afford. You know, you're living above your means. So that is the difference. Now, the faking it till you make it is, for example, there's this cologne. Let me give you an example with a cologne called Chanel No. 5. So buying that cologne goes for around 21,000 Kenya shillings. But now there's a fake one. If that is the scent you like, there's a fake one that goes for 2,000 shillings. So what do? So until you get to a level where you can afford that perfume that goes for 21,000, you're going to use this one for 2,000. So this one you're trying. You're faking it, but you're going there. This one is more of progression. This one is more of now, let me give you another example with the same cologne. I come to your house and I see with that cologne. I don't even know if it's original or fake. But because I saw that cologne in your house, if I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses, what I will do with my salary of 30,000, I'm going to take 21,000 and buy that perfume. Why? Because we have to be on the same level. You cannot. So there's a very huge difference between keeping up with the Joneses. It's more of competition and more of trying to prove to other people that, by the way, you see me, I'm also doing this. You guys are wearing these shoes, I'm also wearing them. You guys are doing what, I'm also doing this. And faking it until you make it. Faking it until you make it is more of it's more of pretense. It's showing that umefika. Na bado kwa hiyo mwendo. But now what you show is not what is. Behind closed doors, the story is completely different.
So talking about keeping up with the Joneses and faking it till you make it, because you mentioned at a point that someone is earning 30,000, you find in my house I have a cologne going for 21,000. So would you advise, on the same note, would you advise that people at least should go for faking it till you make it instead of keeping up with the Joneses?
Yes, I would rather go for fake it till you make it than keeping up with the Joneses. Because the problem with keeping up with the Joneses is, today I saw you with this shoe, I bought the shoe, and then tomorrow you get something else, I get that something else. It's like I'm in a competition with the rest. I'm in a competition with everyone. So when will I ever settle? You'll never settle. But at least when you're keeping up, when you're faking it until you make it, maybe you have a certain clue of where you're going. You know, that's why if you want to live in Westlands, right, and you want to pay rent for 35,000, you would rather not go to Kino and pay 35,000 for a 3-bedroom. You'd rather live in Westlands in a bed sitter. It's still foolishness, but at least you know what, you're trying. You understand? You're not doing it because you saw everyone else is doing it. You're doing it because maybe you're heading somewhere. You understand? You're faking it. You know, you're faking it until you make it. It means you're going somewhere. But now, keeping up with the Joneses, you're doing it because everyone else is doing it, or you're doing it so that you don't feel like you're being left behind, or you're doing it so that you can fit in, so that everyone can see. By the way, Pia Mimi, I'm on that same level. So I would rather fake it until I make it than keep up with the Joneses.
Nice. So maybe in general, what are some of the effects of trying to keep up with the Joneses that these people who are on that some sort of lifestyle, they should get to know?
Well, first of all, it's stress. That is stressful. It also leads to depression, because honestly speaking, if you're paid maybe 25,000, your rent is 24,000. How is this playing out in your head? You're working for, not even for the landlord. How are you going to go to work? You know, what are you going to eat? What are you going to wear? So these are some of the things that I think you need to put into consideration before you start living for other people, because that is not living for you, that is living for other people. For example, the example I give you, you're paying 30,000, your colleague is 21,000. How are you going to pay rent? How are you going to eat? You know, I think you need to call yourself for a meeting. You need to sit down and ask yourself very honest questions. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I covering up for? Because some of these people cover up for something. Maybe your friends, they live in very posh houses. maybe you back home things are not so good. So you're trying to fit in, you want everybody to see, you see, so you start living a lie. It's more or less of living a lie actually, because everyone else is here, I have to show them pia mimi niko hapa, but you are not, hujafika bado. So it's going to be stressful. You will end up being depressed. You will actually, and you won't even be happy. How will you be happy kujua jalipa landlord? How will you be happy kujua bedhe jioni unaenda na ujue unakula nini? Na hiyo siku hata sapa ukukula, breakfast you didn't eat, you don't, yani you're hungry in short. Why? And you're wearing the clothes you're wearing, maybe umevaa jeans ya 7,000, and you know very well unaweza pata jeans mali na 500, but you want your friends to see mimi navanga hizi jeans pia mimi. You understand? You're wearing very good perfume. Kingia kwa room, everybody knows no unameingia. But behind closed doors, nikiingia tu hivi kwa gate hivi, nishakuona naketika. Nimefungiwa nje, maybe nimelala hata na umbwa. Not clear number in that context, as in, you understand, so this is going to lead into depression. It makes no sense. It's not even worth it by the end of the day. Live your own life.
Sure. Now, Nuna, I'd wish to use you as a practical example. So, how have you maneuvered in life until, you come to be founder of Mykenyanguide? You mentioned to us Mykenyanguide. So how has been everything? Probably you could tell us, citing for you now as an example, tell us how has everything been?
Oh, well, I'm not going to say I was trying to keep up with the Joneses, but I was trying to get money. So I think it was 5 years back. I have a few friends who are actresses and they were on TV, and I would follow them on Instagram and I would see how they're living their life, and I was like, kumbe acting has money. So what did I do? Mimi Kanuna, I decided I'm also going to start acting. So I started acting. I acted for I think for 3 years. There were skits I used to put them on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
We want to see the skits. Are still there on you?
Yeah, they're still there. They're actually still there. Okay. So now the issue is, akukuwa na pesa. Mimi, I got into it because I needed money, because I saw everyone is drinking, and then it actually didn't hit me as much. I didn't realize that influencers are giving things for free. So me in my head, you're seeing where people are drinking, you're seeing where people are going, you're like, this is not a bad thing. Why am I not doing this? So I started doing it. I was like, maybe acting and being a producer is going to give me a lot of money. Maybe I'm going to end up very wealthy. I'm going to end up very famous. I don't hate the good things in life very much. I don't hate them. I hate them just a bit, but not so much. So I was like, maybe I'm going to make something out of it.
Sure.
You'd make, I think the first amount I made was 15,000, and I had a crew of like 6 people. So you do the math. Does that make sense to you? Completely does not make sense, So I realized this cannot sustain me. That is why I said you need to call yourself for a meeting. And I was like, as much as I want to continue doing this, because what I was looking for, first of all, I can't find it. It didn't make sense, so I had to stop. So I registered Mykenyanguide back in 2016. So I decided to go back to my roots. I was like, hey, hapa sasa, it makes sense. And you need to stop living for other people. People are like, oh, you need to continue doing them. Oh, we need more videos, but I'm nipati pesa.
Right.
I have bills. I'm a mom. How am I going to maneuver? So nilio stress yote, na mi stuck in depression. I decided to go back to Mykenyanguide. And that is how I'm where I am now.
All right. Nice. So how was the transition generally from the life you wanted to live, like you wanted to live, of course, as social
and then I realized it's not making sense.
So how was that transition? You said you called yourself for a meeting. You had a small conference with yourself. So how was it, that transition? How was it?
Well, it's more of a moment of truth. It's a bit of a to swallow, but now what do you do?
Right.
Yeah, you have to. There are things you have to do because you have to do what you have to do. Yeah. And I think it's one of the best decisions I ever made, because there's progress now. There's a bit of progress in my life. I can look at my life and I can say, well, not bad. I think if I was still doing, I'm not saying you don't act, but although I'll say this, if you want to get into acting in Kenya, please don't get into acting in Kenya because you want to make a lot of money. This is not Hollywood. Don't get into acting in Kenya because you want to be wealthy. That's not going to work, right? That's why you see a lot of people, ule mtu alikuwa naomba, ule acha nisimtaje, mnamuingilia sana. By the way, acting has no money. I know people who are acting in national television, one of the leading, walikuwa nalipa 8,000 per episode. 8,000 per episode, if you do your math, by the end of the month, that is 32,000. When is celeb? Fipana matatu. Watu wanakuomba pesa. Nunua chai. Right? Ile simu unafaa kutumia, ufai kutumia simu anyhow. You understand? Because watu wanataka kupigwa pia selfie na wewe. The places you want to go, the joints you want to go, they are not cheap. You understand? So if you sit down and do your math, it's more of a minus. Ni ile hesabu ingine. Unaelewa? In Kikuyu we say madhafu hatai. Hakuna, yani I make sense completely, doesn't make sense.
Right.
But if you want to do it, who am I to tell you not to? Please proceed. I wish you all the best. Yeah, my story is not your story. Sure. Maybe utatushtua.
Yeah, you could take a different path. Right. Now, no, that was so interesting. So, I think you could be a good example of how women have empowered themselves. You know, transitioning from acting and stuff, going to found your own company, Mykenyanguide. So you could probably tell us about your company, Mykenyanguide. What is it about? What is these things that probably you do in your company?
Okay, Mykenyanguide is a listing website. We also have a mobile app on Play Store. So what we do is we list service providers, companies and businesses, emergency services like ambulance, fire brigade, breakdowns, etc. So what we do is, where Mykenyanguide comes in is, for example, you're in Nairobi, your mom is in Kisumu, maybe your mom got in an accident, or your mom is asthmatic and she's having an asthma attack. Right. So you get a call and they don't know what to do. So you go to Mykenyanguide, you search ambulance, where do you need the ambulance? There's, for example, a place called Nyakach. Nyakach is in Kisumu, correct? Yeah. Yes. Nyakach, Kisumu, or Kisumu, then Nyakach, search. So you get the contact of all the ambulances around Nyakach area. Also, for example, you're in a new area, because we have 47 counties. I don't think you know all the 47 counties in Kenya, including me. Maybe your car breaks down and you need a breakdown. It's in the middle of the night. What do? So you can go to our site, breakdown nearby, search. You understand? Maybe you need a baker nearby, search. Photographer nearby, search. So basically that is what we do.
All right.
Yes.
Very interesting. Now, as we wind up this discussion, what could be your final words to the general public, maybe to the youth? Because I think, in my opinion, I think this problem of wanting to keep up with the Joneses is mostly with the youth. Because you see now, grown-up people, they have already found out themselves. They have realized now this is what I want to do.
Continue doing
that.
Foolishness.
Yeah, right. So in about 2 minutes, what could be your final words to the general population and the youth?
Me, I would say, when you look at your peers and you feel like you're lagging behind, it's because you're looking at them. You need to focus on you. You know, lay one brick at a time. There's a Swahili saying, there's a Swahili msemo, it's a msemo. It says, ukiona kwako kwa teketea, kwa mwenzio kwa ungua. So you need to remember that the next time you see someone or the next time you see something and you want to keep up with them. So in whatever you do, I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for staying with us throughout the discussion. That has been Hanna Nunes. We've been discussing on keeping up with the Joneses, not the 2016 movie, but now the lifestyle aspect of it. You're living a life in a lane you don't belong. A very interesting topic, keeping up with the Joneses. Now you know what that means. It's time we take another very short break here on KUTV Primetime News. We have still much for you, so keep it right here. See you on the other side.